In the previous few SQL sessions, we have been seeing about joins. In this session also, we will continue to see about join, but in particular about self-join. So by self-join, we mean that the two tables are going to be the same. So for the same table, you join it along with itself. So why do we need to do a self-join? This is particularly useful when you have relationship between the records in the same table. A classic example of this will be an employee table where an employee's supervisor is also recorded. So when I say a supervisor of an employee, he in turn is going to be a part of the organization. So that record of the supervisor is also going to be made as an entry as an employee in the employees table. So capturing such information through a join would be very ideal. So today we will see how to do a self-join, and towards this I am going to create an employee table, insert a couple of records, and then let's see how that gets extracted. So let's start with create table command. So we create an employee table. Let it have a few fields. We'll start with employee ID, which is going to be a number field, which is also the primary key of the table, followed by employee name, which is going to be a character field. Let it be of length say 25. And the supervisor of the employee is going to be captured with the field SUP_ID. This is also an employee ID, so it should be a number. And let us say some information like the department. Okay, so I'm going to say department name. Say let it be a character field. With say ideally 20 characters. Okay, so for this, let us create the table. And then let us start inserting few records for this table. So the table is created successfully. Let us start inserting records. Insert into employees, values. So we will start the first employee. Let us give an ID. Say for example the year name followed by the serial number. Then you have the employee's name. Let it be say for example Priya. The company is owned by Priya, so they won't have a supervisor ID. Okay, so she doesn't have a supervisor ID, so I'm giving it as 0. Then say for example the department name, so I'm just typing some name which is say for example marketing. Okay, now let me copy this and then we will create multiple rows before we insert all these values. I think this should be sufficient. So let's change the employee IDs as such with serial number 2, 3, 4, etc. So we are creating 6 employees and let's rename each of that. Under Priya, so here the employee ID is going to be 20211. Works directly under Priya. Okay, and let it be say for example Praveen. Praveen also works directly under Priya. So let's make that 221. Okay. So now this is going to be say sales and this is going to be department is going to be IT. Okay. Now the next employee say Prakash is going to work on sales, which means he is working under say for example Pooja, which means the employee ID here I give is 2122. And then say there is a Pradeep who works under Praveen. So let's make this 20213 and it is going to be IT. Okay, and let us put one more person for IT. So this is going to be let it be Priyadashini. This person is going to work under say Prakash, or let us make it under Praveen. So it will be 20212. Okay. And since it's working under Praveen, we will make it as IT. Now I'm going to insert all these 6 records in the table. Okay. Let's insert one by one. Once inserted, let us query and see what are all the records. Then we will try to, through the query, joint query, we will try to find out the relationship between an employee and the supervisor. Okay. So we've inserted all the 6 records. Let's confirm how it looks in the table. So it is select star from employees. So you should get the 6 rows that we inserted, which we do have. Okay. Now I'm in a self join. The table is going to get joined by itself. We know the concept of a table alias, right? So here what is done is, for the same table employees, there will be 2 aliases that will be created. So now let us create the 2 alias. So select. I am coming back to what is getting selected later. From employees A, comma, employees B. So I have created 2 alias for the same table, employees A and B. Okay. Now let us select what we want. We will treat one table with employees with alias say A as the employee table, and the alias B as a supervisor table. So what we actually want is the employee name from both, because the table is the same. So we are going to get the employee name from both the tables, but with different aliases this time. And I will name one as employee and another as supervisor. So when I say a.emp underscore name, I alias it as employee name. Okay. Then I give a b.emp name as supervisor name. Okay. Okay. Now I have taken the employee from the A alias and the supervisor name from the alias B. Okay. Now here comes the condition, where a.emp id is equal to b.emp id. When I do this, what will happen? I am trying to match the employee IDs in both the cases. But that is not what I want, right? For the supervisor ID of an employee, I want the name. So here, when I say a.emp id, it doesn't work for me. So let's come back to that later. We will execute this query as the supervisor ID for this particular employee is what I want. So let us first run this command and then see the difference otherwise. So here you see, under Priya, you have an employee called Pooja, and you also have an employee called Praveen. And under Pooja, you have Prakash and Priyadarshini, and under Praveen, you have Pradeep. This is the relationship we wanted. So the supervisor ID of this employee has to be the employee ID of the supervisor. That's how it works when you give in a query. So like this, you can query the relationship. But this works only if there is an interrelationship between the data that gets stored in the table. Otherwise, this will not work. So self-join is typically used only in these cases. Okay. With this, I'll close this session. A quick recap, a self-join is one where a table is joined to itself, and it is used only when there are relations between the records of the table. And this is not possible when there are no relationship between any records of the table. Okay. With this, we'll close the joins. Please subscribe to my channel for more videos. I'm looking forward to seeing you in my next video. Thank you.